Welcome to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show. And for those of you listening nationally, I guess welcome back from the break. Those of you on YouTube, you're just getting your first glimpse of my guest this week, Megan Meyer. Welcome to the show, Megan.
Hey, Jim. Thank you so much for having me on.
This is going to be fun. We got a lot of mutual friends. You and I have started talking more and more, and you've got a pretty crazy career. And I was just doing a little research. I'm like, there's actually a lot of parallels between you and I, like growing up in a family racing, thing, exposed to it at a very young age. Like, you shifted into marketing, and as I'm reading through, I'm like, man, there's like literally like a parallel to my career, in some regards. And so, it's like you've been kind of all over the place. Now you're shifting to off-road.
Yes. Now going into dirt track racing, which I have no experience with that. So I'm starting all over again.
I will say there's something about drag racers going off-road. So when I did Star Car, Steve Torrance and Antron Brown came out and raced with me, and both of them dear friends of mine. And they absolutely fell in love with UTV racing after that. And I think the draw for them, and you can probably chime in on this. Antron did one lap at the Mint, and he comes back. He goes, Jim, he goes, I just raced more in a couple hours than I have my entire career. He goes, I just started laughing. And I'm like, I guess you were in the car for 2.5 hours. And when you're used to doing, 4-second runs, I'm like, yeah, it probably is the entire length of your career.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny because and that's like I was just telling you about my husband. So he comes from dirt bike background, and he does the hair scrambles. So yeah, for him,
he's gnarly. Hair scrambles are gnarly.
Yeah, so he I'll be honest, he is not a fan of drag racing because he's like, I don't understand. You spend hours working on the car just to run for a few seconds, and then you got to do it all over again.
Well, what's gnarly to me about drag racing too is I'd always watched it on TV. I'd been to some, like, to me, drag racing, it's much better in person than it is on television.
Yes. Yeah.
But the open pits and things like that, and obviously I've got a lot of friends, so it's like I've gone to some events with Torrances and stuff, like, at least in Top Fuel and Funny Car, it's crazy the amount of, they do one run for, 3 to 4 seconds, come back, and the entire car is torn down, engine, everything redone. And I'm like, it is wild. Like, and it's almost like a ballet. It's like choreographed dancing, the way they get those back together to go and do another run. And to me, it's like people on TV, they see that, but I'm like, you have to go, you have to watch the pits. One, you need to feel that concussion in your chest, but it's like drag racing to me is such a, it literally plays on so many different senses. It's like a sensory overload.
Mm-hmm. It is. And yeah, if you ever get to stand on the starting line, the best spot is to stand right in the middle between the two cars, because then you're getting all the horsepower, the vibrations and the noise and the smell. You get everything from both cars. And not very many people get to stand in the middle. Usually you have to stand off to the side and behind them, just in case anything were to ever happen. But that's the best spot because, it's sensory overload. It's all of your senses. Like, TV does not do it justice. I love drag racing because it is such an adrenaline rush. I just wish it was longer.
I've stood in the water box at the Four Wides in Vegas. Yeah. And when Top Fuel cars go off and you're in the water box and it's the Four Wides, it literally, like, I'm like, it feels like you've got a pro boxer that punches you in the chest. Your eyes are burning, your lungs are burning. Obviously your earplugs are in and it's still loud. I'm like, it's just the craziest. And then you get just blasted with hot rubber and it's melting and burning your skin. And everyone is like, sounds miserable. I'm like, it is the most amazing thing I've ever felt.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but let's go back to the beginning. We talked about that. Like, obviously you grew up around drag racing. I know you started at a pretty young age. I mean, how was that? Because like me, I grew up in off-road. I just did an interview with my buddy, Matt Martelli. He said, when was your first off-road race? And I was like, I think I was 3 weeks old. Like, I mean, so like with you, how soon were you exposed to it at a young age?
I would say the same. I don't know exactly. And I don't know if my parents know exactly how old I was when they took me to my first race. But, it was right when my dad, so I was born in 93, and in the late 80s, early 90s was when my dad was running Top Fuel. And right after that was when he transitioned out of that and moved into the top alcohol class, which is what we do now. So he was, you know, he was just all or nothing with it. And he, like, unfortunately, he wasn't very successful at it, and it is super expensive. So that's an, you know, biggest reason why he did step down in classes. But yeah, I mean, ever since I can remember, I've always been going to the racetrack. And I got started driving when I was 10 years old with a junior dragster. I have a little sister, Rachel, who is 2 years younger. So
Okay.
back then, the minimum age to start was 8 years old. So we had to wait till she was 8. And then we got a pair of juniors from a pair of older brothers that were aging out and, you know, getting rid of everything there was. And my dad knew nothing about how to run a junior dragster. You know, he didn't grow up racing. It wasn't something he got into till he was like 19 or 20 years old, because his oldest brother, my Uncle Joe, had introduced it to him. And so, yeah, it was very new, but thankfully my Uncle Joe, he has 3 kids that are older than me. And so they all had juniors. So we got to kind of learn from our cousins of how to run a junior, like what all you need for it. And I remember my very first pass. I still remember the first pass I made down the drag strip. And my dad was like, you know, before he started the car, he leaned in and he was like, okay, I don't know what it's going to do, but if it shakes the tires, just pedal it. And like, I knew what that meant from watching him do it all the time, but like neither of us knew that like it's a junior dragster, like it's only got like 30 horsepower, like it's not going to shake the tires. But you know, and it's only 8th mile that we're running to as the kids, and it goes out, I don't know, a couple 100 feet, and I'm just like, I don't know what it feels like to shake the tires. Like everything's just vibrating. And so I just like let off the gas and got back on. And then afterwards, everyone was like, why did you do that? And I was like, well, I think it was shaking the tires. I don't know. And they're like, no, you're good. Like just stay in it the whole time.
Yeah. One of those when it happens, you'll know, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah, and that wasn't it.
that's funny. But was it one of those like after that first, you know, the first run or the first pass, you're just like, yeah, I like this.
Yes, I was like hooked immediately. I have always been like taking it super serious, been super competitive with it. I'd be the one polishing my wheels in the pits while all the other kids are out playing football. Like I was just obsessed with it. And I remember I got my first one was my second race that I did at our just local track here in Kansas City. And so ever since that, yeah, just wanted to give it 100% and really take it seriously. So I did have quite a bit of success with the junior dragsters. I won 2 track championships. I almost got a third in my last year, but ego got in the way and messed up on my last race there, and kind of threw that one away. But yeah, so you know, I learned a lot about the the passion that you need to become a professional racer, because like at that time my dad was, you know, he was still taking his career very seriously, so he was gone quite a bit and couldn't take us to the races and couldn't teach us stuff. So it was either my mom, my uncle, or we would just try to find like other parents that could take my sister and I to the racetrack until I was old enough to drive the truck and trailer myself. And so yeah, you know, we had to work for it. We had to find a way to get to the track if we wanted to race.
That's awesome. And like, was it one of those like with your dad? Because like with my dad, he never pushed me in. It was just like I was the one pushing him. I want to race. I want to race. I want to race. And like,
Yeah, yeah.
like my parents never pushed me into anything. It was just like, hey, we'll let you. If you want to go play baseball, play baseball. If you want to race, you can do what you want. But to me, it was like I want to race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were exactly like that. Yeah, like my dad, you know, he obviously opened the door and showed me what could be possible with it. And he was not nearly successful back then as he is now. You know, he might have won like 1 or 2 races a year. But I could see how much time and energy and money that he poured into it just to be able to, you know, have that chance. And so yeah, so he showed me like, hey, if you want to be top dog, you know, like you've got to do this and go above above and beyond what everybody else is doing, because they're kind of treating it more like a hobby. And so I knew that I wanted to be a professional race car driver when I was a kid. I wanted to be like my dad, or go above and beyond that, go up to the top fuel ranks and all that. But yeah, they opened the door, but they never really pushed me through. And my dad also wanted to see like how passionate my sister and I were about it, because he didn't buy us the nicest, newest cars. We got hand-me-down stuff, and we got hand-me-down fire suits. I think the only thing new we got was a helmet, and that's only because he, was friends with a guy that had a bike shop, and so he like gave him a deal on helmets or whatever for us. But yeah, so we got like the oldest, worn out stuff, and really wanted us to show, hey, like we're into this. And so then we would just get a little bit nicer stuff each year. And I didn't get like a brand new race car until I was like 15 years old. And when it was like, hey, I can go and take the car to the track by myself, like I can show I'm in it 100%. Then I can, earn the nicer car, the nicer stuff and that type of stuff, get my own paint job on the car and all that stuff. And that's kind of how, now that I'm a parent, how we want to raise our son, because it's so easy to be like, oh, well, we need to get the fastest and the best thing out there. But then it's like, no, we need to like start at the bottom and like work our way up, and, not spoil him, but show him, hey, like you've got to work hard, learn the skills to drive in something that is slower, and, will actually teach you and make you a better driver for when you do get something that's newer and might be easier to drive.
And that's how my dad was. He had it was a smaller team, you know what I mean, and he had to struggle for sponsorship and stuff like that. And he had the family business that he was running that helped out. But it was like, even when I started racing, he was like, all right, here's, he had his older truck that was sitting there, and it was, he goes, you're going to have to prep it. You're going to have to work on it. I'll help. When you need help, I'll help. But here's a list of what needs to be done. You need to do it.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, even like sponsorship. It's like, he helped out the first couple of races, got me going. And that was when I really started getting into sponsorship. I was like, I want to race for him. My dad's like, we don't have that money. And he goes, you need to go find it. And so that was when I really got into sponsor. And I started studying, and this is early 2000s. So it was like pre-social media, things like that, but it was like really had to get creative in what I was offering. And I learned, it was trial by fire. You know what I mean? I was sending proposals out, nothing was coming back, but it was one of those where my dad, like it's one of those, like he could have helped more, but I'm thankful he didn't, because it was one of those, like, let's see how hungry you really are,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exactly. Dad's like, I can support you to do 1, maybe 2 races a year. He goes, you want to go to 3 or 4? He goes, that's on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's like, I mean, like I said, we're trying to keep that mindset with Henry, because we want him to get into racing. I mean, he just turned 4, so he doesn't know what he wants to do. He'd rather play with Legos right now, and so we don't want to push it on him, but yeah, we kind of hope that he follows in our footsteps, whether that is drag racing or short course or dirt bikes or whatever else it is. But yeah, we want to make sure that he shows us, like, when he's ready for it, we'll be there to help him, but we still want him to do it his way too.
Well, and I think, like, at least for me, when I was a kid, there wasn't that many options for racing. Like, it seems like regardless of what kids want to race, there's so many more options now. It was like, now there's kids that are 4 years old racing something, and it's like, when I was the same way, like when I was a kid, like you almost had to have a driver's license to go off-road racing unless you want to race a dirt bike or a quad. There wasn't these small UTVs, there wasn't feeder classes, things like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And same thing like in drag racing. I feel like with the junior dragsters, like that was still kind of new when I got started in it. I think it'd only been around like maybe 10 years before that, like maybe not even that long. I don't know when they first came out, but it was 2004 when I started. So I don't feel like it had that much time before that. But yeah, there wasn't very many options, and now there's like, kids can do all different types of cars in drag racing, and it's crazy to see how it's evolved.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess your progression, obviously start out with the junior dragsters. How did you kind of work your way up the ladder system to get, you know what I mean? How did that work out?
Yeah, so I've only run in 3 different classes, so the juniors and top alcohol dragster, but between that, there's a class that's called Super Comp, and those are 99% dragsters. You can run a roadster or what we call like a door car in those classes, but most of the time it's dragsters, and those cars go quarter mile. They do about 170 to like 190 miles per hour.
Mhm.
It's 7 to 8 seconds. And so going from a junior dragster that's eighth mile, and by that time I was going about 80 miles per hour to the super comp. It's a big jump, and the car's twice as big. There's a lot more room, like in the roll cage. You have to learn how to back up from a burnout, because in a junior dragster you don't back up, and so there's just a lot to learn. So I went to Frank Hawley's drag racing school to get my super comp license, because again, my dad knew zero about super comps. He had never driven one. He didn't know what to do. And it's funny because the team has a story. So Frank Hawley's school is based out of Florida, but they do travel to other states and other drag strips. And so, but they're based out of Florida. And the first like national event that my dad always goes to is the Gator Nationals. And that's where Frank Hawley's school is. And so Monday after the Gator Nationals, they'll start the school, and it's a 2-day thing. And so I was still in school, because that by this time I'm in college, or no, sorry, I'm in high school. I'm a junior in high school. And so I was still in school. So my dad had brought my super comp car like in the trailer with him. He was doing some testing in his top alcohol dragster, and had never run the super comp car before. And he was just like, I'm going to take you down the track and see how this thing goes. And like, again, doesn't know what to do, doesn't know how to set up or anything, like just rolls it out of the trailer and goes make a pass. And he's just like, it feels really weird. And then they realized the guys never checked the tire pressure, and that one tire had like 5 or 6 pounds, the other one had like 10 pounds. And it's just like, hey, like you should probably check that before you make a run. But so yeah, so we're completely learning as I'm trying to progress through the ranks, because that is kind of like the middle step. And so going to the school taught me how to drive the car, but it didn't teach me like how to work on it. So I actually was not any good at super comp racing. I think I made it to one final round and got runner up at our local track, but it's just incredibly competitive, and even more now than it was back then. And this was let's see, I was 16 when I got started racing. So this was I don't know, 15 years ago when I started doing that class. But it's so like, it's down to the thousandths of a second of how you could win or lose, because it's all about like reaction time is way more important in those classes than it is kind of in the top alcohol class. And you have to be able to, it's very confusing to watch, because they have an index that you have to run a certain number. And so you can't go faster, because then you'll lose. But if you go slower than that, then the other person, could be faster and they can beat you. So it's just, there's so much more like driver skill that goes into it. And the weather plays such a big factor in how the car is going to run. So you got to change the tune-up every single run. You might have to change tire pressure every run. Like there's so many more factors to it, where like with the juniors, it was just all you'd have to do is like maybe change the carburetor, and that was it. And so so it took a lot to learn. I did that class for 6 years. So junior and senior year of high school, and then all through college, I raced that. And again, that was something where I had to do it completely on my own and with my little sister, because she also got a super comp car. And so my dad wanted nothing to do with it. He hated like the index racing. He's like, he's the heads up guy. So he's like, I'm not going to slow down my car, just to try to race this other guy. He's like, I'm going to go as fast as I can so I can win the race. So he's like, this is your thing. I'm hands off. He's like, I'll help you, rebuild a motor, but that's it. And so we really like had to learn how to race. And so my sister still does that to this day. When I jumped into the Top Alcohol Dragster, we sold that car. And looking back now, I wish we would have kept it, because that type of racing, it's like, I say, like, with Top Alcohol Dragster, it's 80-90% about the car, 10 maybe 20% is driver skill. And the super comp or any of the index style racing, it's about like 50-50, if not more, leaning towards the driver skill. So it's just more challenging, and I feel like there's a lot more like accomplishment that you can get out of that as a driver, because you don't need a crew. It's all about how the driver can do. And so I kind of wish we kept that, because now, like, looking for something to get into with racing, like, I'm looking for that challenge. I wish we would have kept that car, because it was a good car. But yeah, so I did that for 6 years, was not good at it at all, but it taught me a lot of how to race, and again, more independence, learning how to work on cars, just the passion and the drive you have to have, especially when you're losing every single race. Like, you've really got to pick yourself back up to go to that next race. So I learned a lot in that, and I feel like that really did set me up going into Top Alcohol Dragster, because that was the plan. That my dream was to do that. That's what my dad was doing. And by this time, so he did go through a period where I think it was 3 years, he did not win a single race. Like, it, he says, like, he got depressed. He almost quit because he was doing so bad. But thankfully, he was able to figure something out with the cars, turn the corner or whatever, and start having a lot of success with it. So he was on the rise the time that I was coming into it. And we had an agreement that I had to graduate from college and I had to get all A's with school. He was very strict on school. And so once I graduated, then he would give me a chance. And he's like, I'll give you 1 year for free. But after that, you've got to pay for it. And so that's where the marketing and the sponsorship knowledge, I mean, just like you, like, I had to learn how to raise my own funding to race, even though, it was with my dad's team, but it's not cheap and it's not free. And
money,
so that's where I learned how to get sponsorships.
Well, and what, I guess, what, like, date wise, what kind of year? Because I want to put it into perspective on what was going on digitally and stuff like that. So, like, when was that, when you really started, like, oh, I got to figure out how to fund this? That first year that your dad paid for, what was that year?
Yeah, so my rookie year is 2016.
Okay.
But we spent 3 years testing and training and all that before that. So I went to college with the desire to learn a skill, to use something that could help me with racing. And so I actually, when I started school, I triple majored in marketing, communications, and graphic design, because I was already I was doing those things for my dad, because so when I graduated from high school, was 2011. So this was when, like, Facebook was starting to get big. Like, we went through the MySpace era. But then, like, he had a website for the first time. So I had to update the website. He, had someone that was writing up press releases for him. So I had to learn how to do that and email them to his partners that he had and his sponsors. I had, like, he taught me how to use a camera and, like, take pictures and all that. So I was learning those skills to be able to help him out. And through that, I was able to start building the relationships with those partners, and them getting to know who I was, because at that time, like, I was just a little kid before that. But now it's like, hey, like, oh, she's taking this serious, like, she's moving up, so we should keep our eye on her and all that. So 2011 was when I graduated from high school, and I was like, I know nothing about graphic design. Like, I've only learned this stuff just through racing. So I want to, like, get a formal education in it, really learn what could help me out and help me, because yeah, like we had that conversation. It was like, okay, so I need to build up my name and my brand to be able to get some funding, so I can go racing. And I eventually dropped the marketing and communications because it was too much for me and I didn't love it. I liked, writing press releases, but I didn't like writing essays and all that type of stuff. So I dropped that. So I just stuck with the graphic design, and I knew nothing about how to use Photoshop or Illustrator. Like, I've never created a logo before. So I was starting at the very bottom. I'm with these kids who have been in art classes for years, and like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I was like, I just want to go racing. So I had to learn a lot. But thankfully the teachers and the staff there, they were so supportive, and they knew what drag racing was because the drag strip was only 20 minutes from campus. Okay. So if they had never been to the track before, they drove by it all the time. So they're like, oh, you race there. I was like, yeah. So can I make some t-shirts so I can sell them at the track this weekend? So I learned a lot about, just like marketing design. And I was also taking social media classes. So again, when Facebook is really taking off, like being a content creator wasn't a thing back then. It was just, hey, make a page for yourself and start posting, just give people updates, what you were doing. Like, I also had a blog. And so it's just like, hey, this weekend I raced here and this is how I did. And so that's how it started. And like, people really took notice to that because no other race teams were doing that. Like if they were on social media, it was still just more like their personal page. Like, they didn't have a business page set up, or they would just only do an update maybe like once a month or something like that, like whenever they won a race, but they wouldn't post anything else in between. And I was like, every single day I was putting a piece of content out there, not knowing what I was doing or like where it would take me. But I was just like, hey, like I enjoy doing this. And I'm just going to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Chase Light incorporates 5 modes, including stroke, brake, running, courtesy, and reverse in a compact 7-inch by 2-inch fixture. The Rigid Chase attaches to any roll bar or flat mounting surface, and users can control each of the multiple functions independently. The Rigid Chase is one more way for off-road enthusiasts to own the night.
Well, it's, that is funny you mentioned like social, and I guess unfortunately, like, I've got a business and marketing degree, and I laugh because when I graduated college, what was it, 2004, I think I graduated, but like there was no social media involved in my marketing degree. None. It was more print ads, radio, television, it was newspaper, like it was marketing just didn't, the email marketing was kind of there. Websites were, banner ads, that was a big deal, but I laugh because it's like from the time I got that degree, like in the next 5 years, stuff just spiraled like a completely different direction.
Yeah.
It's funny when Facebook and that came, because I had a Twitter account before I actually had a Facebook account. But it was like, you're right. Like, websites, blogs were a big deal. And Facebook and Twitter. Well, Twitter's actually very similar to how it was. But Facebook was vastly different. It was just like, and video wasn't a thing. I was telling somebody this week when we did a podcast, I go like, when I started my podcast, I go, one, people didn't even know what a podcast was. That's why we called it a radio show at the time. But I go, like, video was so expensive to do. Like, even YouTube was in its infancy, because like to do YouTube or to do video for like, you just couldn't do it because it was so expensive. GoPros weren't around. You know, it was like, you know, if you wanted to, you know, there was all kinds of wonky, you know, cameras that you could get and strap onto something. But video, you know, cell phone video wasn't really good. It was grainy and horrible. And, you know, it was just funny. Like, in that era, it's like now everything's so easy, so accessible. It's so, you know, doing live video is so easy now. Like back then, you need a whole production truck to do a live video.
Yeah. It's crazy how it's evolved so fast too.
Yeah, you know, but it's like, man, you coming in at the time you did, I'm just trying to think, like, Facebook was big. Yeah, Twitter was still pretty relevant. Instagram, I think when Instagram was, I mean, Instagram came out, it took a couple of years before Instagram even got, I started my Instagram account, and then I think I didn't touch it for like 2 years because it wasn't a thing. And then Instagram just blew up. But it's just funny. It was a whole different Wild West of social media. There was no such thing as algorithms and that garbage now. It was just like you posted, and whoever posted the most recent thing popped up in your feed.
Yeah, it's so much easier back then. I remember, because by that time, when I was a freshman in school was when Instagram like kind of just came out. So it's just like, and it was like just photos, like just square photos,
and then weird filters.
Yes, and the weird filters. I don't think you could do carousel, so I think it was just like the single photo. Yeah. And so, but Facebook has always been my strongest, and Facebook was my OG. Like, I've been on it, you know, I don't know however long it's been. But even to this day, Facebook is still my strongest as far as engagement, like number of followers, video views that I get. Like, I really try with Instagram, and it just like, there was a period where it was going up, and now it's just going downhill again. And so I really just focus on Facebook for both my account and the Randy Meyer Racing Team account. And also the great thing with Facebook is that it's monetized for us now. So I get a nice little kickback each month. I tried the Instagram bonus program, but it was like max of $3 a month. And it's like, well, this isn't worth it. So
Instagram's weird. It's gone, for me lately, it's way down. Facebook's actually made a resurgence, but like those Instagram checks, there's been months where I've got $500-600, and then there's months where I get like 67 cents, and I'm like, how do I go from $500 to 67 cents? It's like, it's weird. But Facebook, like in the last month, my Facebook traction, I don't know what they changed in the algorithm. It's gone crazy. I mean, we're talking like pre-pandemic engagement and numbers, and I'm like, I'm not throwing boosts, I'm not doing anything. And it wasn't just one post that went viral. It's like a bunch of posts all of a sudden just started getting traction, and I'm like, well, what's going on with Facebook? I kind of like this, because like I built this following, and then Facebook it went away for a while, and now I'm like, oh, people in my following are actually seeing stuff. It's not pay to play anymore.
I have fallen into the trap to boost post. So I really don't recommend that people do that, because it ends up hurting you in the long run. But I do recommend using ads for content. Any like sponsored post that you do as an organic post, like I'll just convert it to an ad, and it'll do great.
Yeah, I've done ads. Ads get pretty good reach. Only time I boost anymore, especially Facebook or Instagram, is if I've got like my video project with that Ford car that we just released, Livewire. Like I threw a boost behind that, you know, but it was like, you know, we needed to, you know, and then the numbers went really crazy. But you know, like boosting has its place, but like I knew people for a while that every single post was just, we're throwing $5 behind them. Like, don't do that, because Facebook knows. And then they're like, oh, this guy's a sucker.
Exactly.
We're not gonna let anybody see this until you give us money.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, well, and I guess, how did things like spiral for you? I say spiral, normally that's a bad thing, I mean in a good way, but on the marketing side, because you went from obviously, you know, doing self-marketing stuff for your dad's team, but now, I mean, you know, obviously, you know, I think I first met you through Alex Stryler and you know, some of the stuff that he's doing. But like, how's that steamroll? Because now it's become this whole like business for you.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So, so to kind of go back when I was in school, like, you know, studying this stuff, just our other friends that race, they'd come to me and be like, hey, like, I like these hero cards you made. Like, could you make me a hero card, or could you make me a t-shirt? And I'd be like, yeah, sure, no problem. So just started doing freelance work just for friends, and, you know, wasn't charging anything, or very, very little back then. And I realized, like, oh, maybe this could be, you know, like my source of income, because at that same time I'm trying to think, okay, I'm getting ready to graduate. I don't have a job yet, but I want something where I could work remotely, like as a designer, so I can go and race and travel whenever I want to. And back then, like, being a work from home designer or remote designer, like, really wasn't a thing.
No,
Like,
it
is
wasn't.
yeah, like, you had to go into an office or into an agency. And so I just, like, I didn't really see where I could fit in and get what I wanted, which was time off to go racing. And so so I just kind of, like, just kept on that, started posting stuff on social media, you know, like, hey, if does anybody need a hero card design or a website design, like, I can do it for you. And so I was just able to, like, get some clients from racers, and I just used social media to promote it. And yeah, it just kind of snowballed into something a lot bigger over the years, to where through social media I was able to like, racers from other types of motorsports and even like other countries were reaching out to me and be like, hey, like, we want hero card, or we want a logo design, or we want a website. Or then that led into, hey, we want you to do our social media. And so 2016 to 2020 was when I was running full-time Top Alcohol Dragster. I was able to get title sponsorships and get the funding to where I could race. But by the end of 2020, I was completely burnt out on all the travel. So everything that I thought I wanted, I got it. And then I realized, oh, I don't love this anymore. Like, there's so much pressure and stress that goes along with it that I didn't see, especially doing sponsor commitments, doing meet and greets, like displays, all that type of stuff. Like, that stuff my dad wasn't doing, so I didn't really see, like, how much of a toll it could take on someone. But so yeah, so thankfully we had a very successful career. I was able to really, like, build my brand and build my name, like, get a bunch of sponsorships. But then at the same time, it's like, I'm so burnt out, and I'm also, like, in a serious relationship at home. Like, we're engaged, about to get married, and it's just like, hey, you know, like, I've done everything I wanted to do as a race car driver. Like, it's time to kind of take a step back and live my life and be a normal person, because I missed out on a lot of stuff because I was just focused on racing. So in the beginning of 2020, when we were, you know, on pandemic break, was when I started switching to coaching, because by this time, even though I was racing full time, like, I was still growing my business. And so I had a handful of clients that I was doing any type of design work for, and some social media work. And so I was like, well, hey, I'm just going to make a course on how to do social media, so that way I can kind of, you know, reach more people, but not have to do it for them. And so that way they can learn what to do. Also, the partners and sponsors that we had were reaching out to me, and they're like, hey, you do a great job, but, you know, this other racer, like, they, you know, they're amazing. Like, they get podiums, they win races all the time, but they don't have any online presence. Can you help them out somehow?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, what's something that I could do to help them, but I don't have the capacity to, like, take on any more clients. So I made a course, very successful, like, right off, like, the initial launch that I had of it. And then after that, then I did a sponsorship course. So I transitioned into coaching, and I've been doing that for the past 5 years, growing that side of the business, while also the majority of work I have been doing is social media management. And it's been amazing, because I've been able to meet so many cool racers through this, just by, like, posting, hey, like, I do these services online, and then like people would reach out to me and be like, hey, like, yeah, we need help with our social media. And so I've worked with racers from all different types of like off-road to like dirt oval, drag racing, boat racing, and even sim racing. And what's even cool is some of these clients that I've had and students of mine have become really good friends of mine. And even one girl, her name's Fiona, she's from Australia. She came to the US to drive for our team, because like the only way how she knew who I was through my course, because she did my social media course and then the sponsorship one and all that stuff. And she was like, hey, like my dream would be to race in the United States. And, you know, we were able to work something out. So this is just really cool to be able to build those relationships. And I'm going to, you know, some of these racers are my closest friends that I have. And even some of them I've never even met in person. We just talk online. And so, so through all that was when I met Alex Streiler, and he was kind of doing the same thing. And so he called me one day and he was just like, hey, like, I've heard about you, let's partner up. And I was just like, cause I had his book and I was like, oh my gosh, like you're my idol. And I was like, yeah, like I would love to partner up and like work together. And so, so yeah, so he's been, you know, helping me with the coaching side of things, with like consulting stuff. And then, yeah, like but now Alex and I are both kind of transitioning into the next phase of it. And so I am taking a step back from being so hands-on with other racers and doing the coaching side of it, just because I am getting back into racing, kind of like not quite full-time, but just a lot more than what I've been doing in the last couple of years. And I just want to, you know, focus on, you know, on racing and trying to learn, because now it is short course, it's dirt, it's something that I know nothing about. So I've got a lot to learn, and I want to be able to put my time and energy into that to become a good driver.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's funny because I'm kind of the same way, and I've taken a little time off. Well, like right now I'm kind of on a couple-year break, and it's like I want to go back to racing. I'm like, the right opportunity to present itself, but it's one of those, like, you do get burnt out, and it's like it's so nice to get in a position in your career where you can do things on your terms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. You're not being I can do it on my terms. I mean, there's something that's more gratifying about it. You know what I mean? When you can decide what you want to do, and it's not all these outside forces deciding for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like one of the other really cool things is like when I did at the end of 2020, when I decided I was going to retire, like I was dead serious about it. It's like, I am not coming back to this. And so that very last race I did, it was so emotional for me, because like I knew at the beginning of the year it's going to be my last year. I did not know it was going to be a limited year because of COVID and all that. But so just going into each race, you know, just counting them down, and it is very emotional. But again, we had a very successful year. We won the championship that year, but it did come down to that last race, the last run I had to win to be able to clinch the championship. And thankfully we did. And so it's just such an emotional day. Like, you know, waking up that morning knowing, hey, this is my last race. This is the last time I'm going to be in this car. But I was satisfied. I was happy with my decision. I was satisfied with my career. I did not win every race I ever went to. So there's, you know, still some events there on the bucket list that I didn't cross off, but I got majority of them. And yeah, I just felt like there's missed opportunities that were calling my name. And one of that was to become a mom. And so I don't regret my decision at all, but I had no idea what it would lead into. I have done a few drag races since then, but not within the NHRA, with other organizations, which at that time was not an option, was never even a thought. So just the last couple of years, it's kind of popped up, and I've just jumped at the opportunity to do something different to kind of still scratch that itch. But I still feel like I'm being called to do something else. And so we're going to give short course racing a try. And so far I love it. So So yeah, we've got some big plans for that.
We would love to have you in off-road racing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And the thing is like me, like, because I haven't raced in it's about 2.5, getting close to 3 years since the last time I raced. But the funny thing is like with an off-road person like me, I haven't raced, sold my race cars, don't own a race car right now. But I've got, a supercharged Kawasaki KRX in the garage. So it's like, anytime I want to scratch that itch, I can go 85 miles an hour across the desert. You know what I mean? So it's one of those where it's like, if I need that adrenaline hit, it's not hard for me to get it. So it's like for you, I mean, it had to have been complete different, and I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes going, that had to have been emotional. Where with me, selling the car was emotional, but I still can get that hit anytime I want it because I can just take the car out and go have some fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You can't really replicate being in a dragster without being in a dragster. And so yeah, so I miss it. So I'll go out and do, this year I've done 3 races and I don't have plans of doing any more this year. So yeah, so I'm good for this year, but maybe in 12 months I'll kind of be craving it again. But yeah, we'll just kind of see what happens there. But the short course, it's complete opposite. Like everything I know in drag racing does not apply to short course. So like I have to learn how to jump and turn and drive on dirt and all this type of stuff. So it's a big challenge for me, which I think is why I love it, because I get to like learn new skills as a driver. And yeah, like you're going fast, but you're doing all this other stuff too in the car. Whereas like in drag racing, especially like with the top alcohol dragster, like I was saying, like you're just there for the ride. Like you just got to step on the gas and go straight. Whereas dirt track, it's completely different.
Yeah. Well, and I think, it's just, I call off-roads like a 3-dimensional motorsport, whereas, drag racing would be, I don't even want to say 2-dimensional at times. It's 2-dimensional just because there was an amazing video. It was 3 or 4 years ago. I'll have to dig it up. I think it was Ron Capps. He posted something and he had a camera on his floorboard. And he's like, yeah, people think we don't drive these cars. And it showed his footwork, but it showed his hands. And he was literally seesawing on that thing. I mean, full lock-to-lock steering, at 300 plus miles an hour. And it was the most remarkable video. And it showed the outside of the car, and the car was going dead straight.
Yeah.
It showed the inside, what Capps was doing from the floorboard up. And literally the guy was driving his ass off. And I'm like, this is amazing stuff. Like, I'm like, it put everything into perspective. I'm like, yeah, people that don't think NHRA drivers are drivers, they're dead wrong. Like,
yeah. The
life off,
Yeah. Funny cars and pro mods are, I mean, I have no experience with them. I've only been in dragsters. And my dad does own a funny car, but I am too tall, so I do not fit in the between the seat and the roll cage, so I can't drive it. But and my husband's like, please don't ever drive that because the motor's in front of you. Yeah, like it's completely different. Yeah. So yeah, the dragsters are easier, but yeah, the funny cars or pro mods there's a lot more skill that it takes to drive those. And so maybe one day I might get the chance to do it just to compare, but yeah, not right now.
So with the off-road, like what I guess I know we were talking, before he hopped on, I know like you're doing it, your husband, like it's something you guys both want to do. I know he's got the motocross background. I mean, what are the plans? Just having some fun, couple races here and there? Or are you like looking at possibly doing a full program?
Yes. So as of right now, we are just racing at Wheatland. So they have their own series there just for the side-by-sides, and it's once a month. So our next race is next weekend. And I think there's just 2 more after that. So we're coming in at the very end of the season because we've just done one race, the one in July. And so we're just having fun with it. We're just learning. And so the plan is we're going to, just keep doing that next year because it's very close to our home. But I would love to travel more with it and do the Champ Series. I went to my first Champ race beginning of this year at Wheatland for the first race. And I had never seen, well, first off, I'd never seen side-by-sides racing before. So I didn't even know anything about that until I went to Wheatland. But I've never seen the Pro 4s and the Pro 2s and just loved it. Like it's it's crazy the amount of action that happens in those classes. And you know, you think someone's got the lead, and then they, you know, next lap they get passed, or they blow out a tire, or they roll over. You know, it's like you never know what's going to happen. There's so much action, so I love it. And so I would love to, you know, go to all of those races next year. So we'll see about that. And then my husband is like, he is wanting to get a separate car for him to race. And so we're kind of, you know, we're on the market right now looking for another side-by-side. I am team Arctic Cat. He's open to anything. I have an Arctic Cat for my Dunes car, and I love it. And so I was just like, hey, before that we had a Polaris, and but then we bought this Arctic Cat to go to the Dunes, and I love it way more than the Polaris. And so when we were looking around for a side-by-side, it's like, hey, like I love this one that we have. And this was, you know, Arctic Cat's getting sold. No one knows if they're going to make them anymore. And so they're like, you sure you want to buy a car where like you might not be able to get any parts for it anymore? I was like, yeah, like they, you know, they're just solid, really good cars. And so thankfully, like right after I decided what I wanted to do with it, there was one that came for sale, race ready, from the Champ Series. And so drove it to Wisconsin and bought that one. And it sat for a while because we, you know, there's stuff that we didn't have as far as driving gear, radios, all that type of stuff. Like I've really had to learn a lot even before I even got to drive this thing, of like, okay, there's so much other stuff that's different in this motorsport that drag racing doesn't have. And so had to get, you know, all new stuff. And then we did rent out the track in June for just a private test session. And so I did a couple laps with it. And then my husband got in, did a couple laps. I get back in the car and he's like, okay, I'm going to time you now to see how fast you can go and see if you're, you know, anywhere near competitive with the, like just the sportsman class. And I kid you not, the second lap where you know, first lap's kind of a warm up, second lap, I'm like, okay, I'm going to, you know, really like go all out. And I go over the big tabletop at Wheatland, and it's really windy that day. And when I land, I'm on the outside of it, and I just get in the cushion out there, and it just sucks me into the wall. I hit the wall going super fast, breaks the wheel, breaks the trailing arm, breaks the transaxle, like all this stuff. And it's like, oh shoot. So now now we have to miss a race because we've got a broken car. We didn't even have spare tires, spare wheels, nothing. And so we're just like, oh shoot, like now we got to go and drop $3,000 on this car, and we haven't even got to race it yet. And so, you know, we're just learning a lot about it because like there's stuff from motocross that doesn't cross over and stuff from drag racing. So we're both learning as we go. But we both really love driving this machine. We both love side-by-sides. We've had them for years, going to the dunes and trails and all that type of stuff. So I feel like we're going to be in it for the long haul and off-road and short course, just trying to figure out, you know, where that path is going to take us.
So that leads. You know, are you guys coming up to Crandon Labor Day by any chance?
We are. We have never been there, but we will be coming up for the race.
I will be there Wednesday through Monday. I got to do a bunch of TV stuff on Sunday, but I'll be there, so we'll have to get together.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm so excited.
It's a spectacle. It literally is a spectacle, and that's what I tell people. I'm like, whether you're a fan of off-road or not, if you're just a fan of motorsport, Crandon should be on your list.
Yeah.
Everybody should go to, you know, Indy 500. Everybody should go to Long Beach Grand Prix. Everybody should go to US Nats. You know, it's like there's a laundry list of stuff. I tell people, you got to go to Four Wides. You need to go.
Yeah.
You've got to go to Crandon. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I can't wait. I know there's so many people that I know are going to be there. I'm really trying to get Alex to come. He's on the fence, so you need to shoot him.
I'll text him. I'll text him and be like, Alex, you need to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex, I'll tell him. Megan and I will buy you dinner if you show up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That'll be awesome. Well, I feel bad too, because we've talked all this time and we completely glazed over this, but I need it on the record on the show. By the way, everybody, Megan is a 2-time world champion. So we completely like glossed over that. So.
Yes. Well, I mentioned I won the championship in 2020. Yeah, I also won it in 2019. So
how was that winning the first one?
Oh, it was awesome. We had like that year was by far our best year that we've ever had. Like we just dominated that year. And so we clinched the championship in like early September. We still had like 2 more months left of racing, but we had won enough races to get the championship already. So yeah, it was awesome. And I was able to I clinched the championship at Charlotte, which is my favorite track. That's where I won my first drag race in Top Alcohol Dragster. And so to be able to win the race at Charlotte a few years later and get my first championship is really cool, because that track just means so much to me. That track was really like where everything just kind of just really like blew up after I won that first race in Charlotte. And also like I did sponsorship debut stuff always happened at Charlotte. Like Charlotte's just always a very special track for us. So to win this championship there meant a lot.
Charlotte, I've been to the drag strip there, and then obviously I've been to the bigger racetrack, but it's just a cool area. Charlotte's got its own vibe, especially for motorsports. Few places in the country where you go and it's just like everybody talks motorsport. It's just there's a Waffle House not far from the Speedway, and it's like I love going in there and just sitting there, because everybody in that Waffle House argues about who's the better race car. I love just going in there and people watching and listening to the conversations, because there's literally like abusive conversations where they're arguing over racing and this guy, and I laugh and I'm like, this place should have a reality show. It's just put a camera on the wall at the Waffle House and listen to them argue, but it's funny. But it's like, Charlotte's just special when it comes to motorsport. It's just because there's so much history there.
Yeah. If I was to ever come back to do an NHRA race, it would be at Charlotte.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's your lucky spot, I think.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I mean, we're almost at the hour mark. It seems like it just flew by, but yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show, and looking forward to hanging out with you at Crandon now.
Yes. Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, we've just become obsessed with Champ Series. Like we don't miss a race. And so yeah, I'm really stoked to be out there. And yeah, I mean, just through social media, I've been able to build relationships with other drivers. And so to really just learn more about the industry and the series, and for me, this is more something to do for fun. I mean, yeah, like, yes, I want to be competitive. I want to win, but I don't want it to turn into a job like how drag racing was for me. Like I want to do this out of just like pure passion. Yeah. And so, so it's really cool to kind of have this, like, just new fire inside of me. And yeah, just really looking forward to being at the track again, seeing all the cool trucks and side-by-sides, and yeah, just like really learning more about this, because I'm trying to soak it all up like a sponge. I've got a ton to learn about how to drive these cars. So yeah, I'm all for it, for anything.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to sign off. Those of you watching, make sure you go down in the link in YouTube, and you can grab all of her info, and we'll get them all posted there so they can find you out on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere else.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on, Jim. This is fun.